Yeah, here we are, day 113. If we make it to next Monday, we're going to tie the record for longest legislative session in history. And the reason is still this big old hang-up on critical race theory, slowing things down at the Idaho State House still. On the House floor debate over the higher education budget, no less. Again, drawing high emotions from lawmakers to the point where they actually needed to pause debate today, twice. Feels like the same song we've heard for weeks, but maybe today, a bit sharper tone. Joe Paris following the contentious session in the House this afternoon. Joe, have we seen any progress? Despite the two pauses, what kind of progress are we seeing?
Well, believe it or not, Brian, the Idaho House actually was off to a hot start after a 1:30 really start to the session on this Monday afternoon. They passed actually a handful of education-related budgets. Everything, though, came to a screeching halt when the higher education budget was brought up. It was interesting. We even saw the K-12 budget go through with no debate unanimously. Now, some Idaho Republicans had brought up the fact that they believe with the recent passage of House Bill 377 and now been signed into law by Governor Little, they thought that really no budget could be passed if there was any money going towards critical race theory. So they divided up and kind of spoke about some of that issue. Now, we're going to give you a little taste of what their debate was like earlier this afternoon right now.
And the only way we're going to be able to address this is on a school-by-school basis, because I don't want to blame University of Idaho for something Boise State's doing. And I'm requesting that we vote no on this, return it, and turn it into 4 budgets, and then we can look at each budget separately.
We've been told that faculty are teaching students to hate America, that faculty are promoting racist ideas, that they are retraining students' minds. We've been fed countless anecdotes about students being bullied or belittled for their beliefs, but drastic cuts to higher education cannot be based in anecdote alone. It cannot be.
And Representative Mathias actually continued his passionate debate in favor of passing the higher education budget before there was actually a few Republican lawmakers that objected to his debate, saying that it was off topic. Representative Mathias really became the first lawmaker we've seen this session or ever try to define and explain exactly what critical race theory was. He argued this isn't about indoctrination, it's about teaching different perspectives at the Idaho State House. Again, as I just mentioned, though, there were some objections to that debate, which is interesting because we saw lawmakers on the other side of the debate go on really for minutes and minutes at a time during this session about their problems with critical race theory and what they really had a problem with. Now, all of this really came to a head and led to a pause, as we mentioned. We'll show you that right here.
Faculty may not force students to make personal or political decisions. They may not. And all of the institutions know that that is their North Star. So let's pick our favorite punching bag, Boise State University. What do they say about this? Well, if you look...
Mr. Speaker, it wasn't about things that were taught. It was about advocacy and promotion. The law says nothing about things that are taught, and no debate was made that way.
Mr. Speaker. All right. Okay, the House will be at ease. Take 5.
So the House took a brief pause and then they did return. Representative Mathias finishing up his debate, but as you could tell, it was very contentious inside the House chambers earlier this afternoon. So yet again, a short time later, we saw another pause.
Voting yes on this budget does not mean you endorse critical race theory. Voting yes on this budget does not mean you hate Idaho values. What it means is that you believe in due diligence. What it means is that you have a basic respect for the value that our higher ed institutions provide to this state.
We've got a lot of people that are a little upset here, so why don't we take an hour recess and have those committees meet? With that, Mr. Speaker, I would move that the House recess until the hour of 3:45.
And that didn't quite happen. The House was set to come back at 3:45. There were some committees that really met during the interim. They actually are just getting started again really shortly here before 5 o'clock, Brian. So the higher education budget to this point has still not been fully processed, and we're going to keep our eye on that because, again, as we mentioned, the budgets were really going very quickly until we hit that higher education critical race theory debate, Brian, that we've seen for weeks.
A point that Matthias made I thought was very clear, that a lot of the biggest thing missing from this critical race theory debate are people of color being a part of it. And he made that point very clearly today, and it's great for him to hear that. The other thing was, I wanted to ask you, Joe, the passage of this education bill, did that make it difficult because they passed this House Bill 377, which included critical race theory? Is that what one of the hang-ups somebody was arguing was today?
Yeah, notably Representative Heather Scott had really made the line of a point saying that, well, because we have this new bill that's been signed into law that prevents certain teaching ways and uneven teaching that would divide our communities, that we can't be giving money to places like Boise State that they believe have institutions or promotions on campus that they think are about social justice and critical race theory.
It's almost as if they didn't see that coming, or then again, maybe they did. Thanks, Joe.